この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Dungeon Meshi, episode 15. Last time on Dungeon Meshi, we took a bit of an aside and we spent some time focusing on Kabu's squad as they sort of follow in the footsteps of our primary team. Somebody pointed out that this is kind of a recap episode in a way, and I hadn't thought of it that way previously because it pushes so many things about the story forward, but in some ways it is kind of a recap. We kind of rehash the actions of our previous party with this new party just trying to figure out, with Kabu's weird intellectual powers and understanding of all of the adventurers who roam this dungeon, exactly what has happened. It gave us some insights on the party from an outside perspective that we wouldn't have gotten from the inside, and now we have some questions about why things happen that way and what exactly was going on the surface. Which, now that I think about it, if we are to return to the surface with Laios and team, means he is probably going to end up coming face to face with some of those people that he was helping or working with in the distant past. And whatever Kabu's interpretation of what happened there, we're going to get to find out what actually happened there, but not without first coloring our impression with his interpretation of what happened there, which just adds layers of people looking at other people and sort of mirroring and representing each other and thinking about how each other work in space, that adds a layer of an ecosystem to our ecology. It adds the human layer, and that's a layer that we haven't interacted with on large scale, really. We've had little bits of it with introducing the Duke. We've had little bits of it within parties and across parties, and even those little bits feel like a lot. They're like really important to the way that we survive in this place. But we haven't entered the overworld where all the people interact all the time, the true ecosystem layer of humanity in this dungeon. So that's one interesting thing. Another interesting thing is that we got to fully meet Kabu's party and find out that they are all fleshed out with interesting characters and characteristics, and maybe most interesting, that Kabu is a true leader among them who cares about them individually, who understands them individually, and who does things, who acts as a person, as a leader, in order to fulfill their collective goal, which is his goal, which is that he is the chosen one, the one who will defeat this mad magician. Sorry, this is not Dungeon of the Mad Mage exactly. This is just Dungeon of the evil maniacal wizard. Different. Very different. Not the Undermountain. It was a cool episode. It didn't do a lot to push our actual story forward because, as it turns out, Laios and party are stuck. They're still in this contorted castle city, and they are finding dead ends at every turn. So while they've been wandering around starting to slowly starve in an empty city, we spent our time looking at Kabu and folks. And now it feels like a bunch of things are about to collide. Kabu and team are heading deeper, but now they have run into, in fact, been saved by, in fact, just at the last minute, been saved by Shuro and his party, another group, well, one member of our initial squad, who is returning in search of his lost love, Fallen, who is surrounded by a bunch of women, all of whom have different levels of Eastern Japanesey sort of coding. There was some statement that they don't come from the same place as that other person, so there are different islands in different places, and I'm not sure which is which and which is where in this fantasy world, but Shuro's squad reads as traditional and Japanese in many ways. Shuro is samurai coded, or maybe Ronin coded. He's got a katana, right? He's got a katana and armor is what we got. We've got a pair of ninja... Is there a femme version of ninja? Is there a female ninja? I don't think so. I think it's just ninja. I got a pair of ninja. We've got a wonderful Oni who seems really fun and like fun to be around. Like, I really like her characterization. And we have definitely a cat girl who's pretending not to be, because we had the kobold borking and barking and scrambling and scratching at her. Have I missed one? Oh, the sort of motherly type, which I haven't been able to place exactly what her archetype is. The flowing robes and kimono and stuff, it all reads as like woman of the house in one of those really nice houses. You know what I mean? Like lady, maybe just lady, like a queen kind of vibes, but maybe also caretaker. I'm not really sure. All of them seem to be wanting to dote on and help and assist young Master Shuro as he pursues his lost love, and he seems really haggard, like really, like the soul has been sucked out of him to some extent. And I don't know if that's just a joke about him having to deal with these women all the time and deal with the party and the squad, or if there's something else going on there, like if he feels really terrible on the inside because he wasn't able to save Fallen in those last moments, or something like that. I wonder if there's some blame game going on inside his head that we have to deal with, or if it's something external that we just haven't had explained to us yet. And I think that covers all the practical pieces of the last episode that will move forward and apply to the next episodes. There was a big water serpent, there were more fishies, there were some monsters, there was a cool spell that made all your party think that everybody else in your party was weird fish monsters, which was really neat. Good things, good times, good fun all around. No, oh shit, I should probably steal that fish monster spell. I've got my characters currently running through a really cool like dungeon that I'm building a little bit as we go, and there's a portion of it that they may or may not get to. They've blocked off the bottom of this crazy whirlpool, and there's actually stuff under the whirlpool. If you like let yourself go in the whirlpool, it'll plop you out into a weird chamber, and that chamber has these like horrifying altars to eldritch gods and patron altars. Like you could definitely worship one of the altars and get some boons from Cthulhu, but it might also turn your face into tentacles, and that might not be great for your social life, right? I just realized I could just put a trap in the room that makes like a weird foggy mist appear, and it makes your friends, your homies look like enemies. Now we're thinking with the steely energy. I love stealing stuff from media like this, and that's a good thing to steal. I thought it was a really fun episode. I deeply enjoyed it. Now that I have somebody who commented and mentioned that it's kind of a recap episode, I've kind of got a different perspective on it. But at the same time, I really dramatically enjoyed going and diving into this other adventuring party and finding out how another dynamic in another adventuring party works. I said the first time that we met Kabu's team that I really hope that we got more of that, because they're cool and interesting and a different perspective and a different voice toward what the dungeon means to people. A different voice toward what it means to be an adventurer that comes through from Kabu and his party than our like ideology that's wrapped up in Senshi and Laios and monster hunting and eating and this sort of integrative nature. It's a little bit more adversarial toward the dungeon, a little bit more traditional. They eat standard adventuring fare and stuff like that. Don't even really consider eating monsters, but they're making it their own way and kind of doing their own thing, and it works, but not in all the exact same ways. And similarly, some of what we do doesn't work as well as Kabu's team. Like Kabu's team has a clear leader, and that leader, when they say go, everybody's on board, and that's pretty different from Laios and party. I'm not sure necessarily which one's better. Like I don't really know. I don't know, but it's different. They all have this trust in him and this belief that he's the chosen one, versus our Laios squad, which is we're just kind of doing the thing. We just are going. We're just doing it. Just living on. We're not like living like I'm the chosen one. We're just living, just trying to survive, just trying to keep dungeoneering, trying to keep going, and continuing to be fascinated by everything that we come across within the dungeon. Okay, I think that's my spiel here at the beginning. I would like to copy, draw, reference, whatever, just a frame of one of the frame. I've got it up and going. It's this frame of Kabu running forward with the big eyes and the little pupils, just because I want to sketch it out and see if I get a better grasp on how that works, how you put together a face like that. Let me. So I'm kind of just eyeballing this, so I may end up getting my proportions really messed up. But that's okay. The eyelashes are like really important on Kabu. Have enough blues to do the irises. Okay, I think I could draw in the outer lines, right? And shape the face. It's just the cheek line, a little bit of hair and stuff. I could use like caramel. And then like I have a potato brown that's like slightly darker, and I would use that for these shadows that have been color separated out, the like on skin shadows. I would probably leave the gray on white shadows within the eye to be just graphite, or I could use the lightest gray that I have, but it would look muddy. If I tried it, it would look muddy. So I want to leave this as it is because I think I've captured the line art, the line work of the face, which is really where the importance of it is, I think. There's some great value to the lighting on it, and having drawn through it, I realize how much of the characterization is created by these shadows. To my first look, my first impression was that it's the size of the pupil matched with the wide open, full sclera visible of the eyes that gives us this like almost frantic look on Kabu's face. It's a really interesting moment because Kabu is in action in this moment, is like rushing forward, but is the face of like, is horrifying, is kind of scary in this moment, but kind of scary why? Like, what makes Kabu kind of intimidating here? And I thought initially that it was just the wide open, like, predator, but a little bit frantic, a little manic, a little unpredictable that comes through. I think it's that, and then combined with... Well, there's a feeling, there's this scene in, I think I might have mentioned this the first time that we met Kabu. There's this scene in Berserk where there are like court people who are scheming and stuff, and then one of them gets like a weird vibe and turns, and Griffith is watching him from way across this huge room. No reason he should have any inkling or insight into what this guy is doing to scheme against Griffith, but Griffith is watching him, and he's got the wide open eyes. I know this character, Kabu, is like rushing right toward the camera, but it feels like he's got his eye on you. It feels like I'm a rat, and there's an eagle coming, and this is the viewpoint of a rat looking up at an eagle, like, oh shit, the inevitable. That's what it feels like. It feels like a bird of prey swooping down, talons at the ready, no compunctions. We've lost humanity here somehow. We've just gone to a place where that creature is going to kill this creature, and that scares this creature. Some piece of it is the shadows around the eyes. Some piece of it is the frame. It's interesting. It's such an interesting frame. It's why I've drawn it, because it's really interesting the way that Kabu expresses when he jumps into action. There's this like locked in priority in the eyes, but then like the mouth isn't in like a grin. It's not confident or smiling or grimacing, right? It's not like, I'm doing this. It's none of those things. It's just slack. It's just open. It's just breathing heavy. It's just like... That's fucking scary. That's like, sorry, I just spit everywhere, but like that's genuinely freaky. It's kind of psycho meth head vibes with a trident. Very cool. Okay, I'm happy to put this up on my shelf. It's been a while since we've had just like a pure face watching us. I think it might have been since Vinland Saga. That's because Vinland Saga is chock full of like really interesting individual faces, and sometimes Dunmeshi is too, but not as frequently, not as all the time. Sometimes it is too, though. There's some cool things in Dunmeshi. Speaking of cool things in Dunmeshi, I don't know what this next episode is going to be, but I know that there are going to be some collisions. Shuro and party are headed right down to the level where we are. Kabu and party probably are following right in their footsteps. That seemed to be the way that things were going at the very end of the episode. Laios and party are chilling stuck there, so we're just waiting for these three groups to collide. And what comes out of that? Will it result in us delving deeper? We'll have to explain things, explain what happened with Fallen to Shuro, and I expect that that will be a primary focus of the episode, and that he'll be really pissed about what happened, or maybe sad, or maybe it will just be an opportunity for us to learn and find out who Shuro is, kind of in the same way that we had this episode where we introduced Nanami, and I thought that they were going to rejoin each other, but instead that served to demonstrate how Nanami interacts with Nanami's party. Maybe this episode will turn its attention to Shuro and focus on him, his relationship with Fallen, his relationship to these other women, this adventuring party that he's with, and the dynamics between them, and maybe how they compare, contrast, and interact with Laios and Squad. I still really hope for us to go to the overworld. I still want to go up to the village and do some shopping, but I don't think we're going to get there this time. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Only one way to find out, and that's to watch the episode, so let's watch... Gonna drink more tea. So let's watch the episode of Dungeon Meshi, episode 15, and find out what happens next. I've got the episode up and ready to go. We're looking at the new OP. It's fun. It's fun. There was some discourse around this in the Discord. It's not as good as the first one. It's fun, but it's just not as good as... It doesn't have that something. It doesn't have Bump of Chicken is what it is. And unfortunately, Bump of Chicken is really good at making feel-good anime OPs. So is, I forget who this is, which it says, should say something. The fact that I've just forgotten who it is. I think it's somebody who I should remember. It's just like, yeah, it's fine. That's okay. That's sad. Okay, let's watch episode 15 of Dungeon Meshi. By the way, if this is your favorite OP, I'm not trying to disparage it. It just doesn't land for me quite the same way. Let's watch episode 15 of Dungeon Meshi. I've got the episode up and ready to go. 2 versions, picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube. Beep, beep, timer, let's go. Oh yeah, Patreon, yeah. All the Patreon, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Oh, somebody mentioned that we add a color in every time we add a character. So we've now got blue, the sort of peach, and the green. This cut's insane, though. This cut is absolutely insane. Insane, but like understated. All right, we're stuck. I wonder if the magician moved it. She looks really bad. What's that on her ear? Hell yeah. I love Chilchuck taking risks. Fuck. That was one of the Blood Drake things, right? Those are way weirder. Those look super different than the way they did. Oh, her staff. That's right. Her staff broke. Hunger? Hunger pangs? Hmm. Oh, you have different races, can't tell. Yes, children need their food. Yeah, children need their food. I must feed them. I must feed the youngsters. I bet it's a trap. When there's water, there are usually food sources. Oh. Ooh. Oh. Uh-huh. Those are really regular stick thing. Oh shit, we about to get sexy. Don't be tempted by the sexy. Dryads? Oh god. Oh, fuck that. Oh, the spores! Oh, they're just in the shapes of people. Wait, they're flowers? We're gonna start tripping balls. Or having an allergic reaction. Uh-huh. Allergies. Uh-huh. Can we weaponize the sneezing? Ah, shit. Are they always connected by the vine? They said that they were flowers. Kansuke! They are connected. Let's go! Oh, that's gotta get Chilchuck. Yep. We gotta get away, gotta get away. Fuck! The animation on these is so fun. Little Obari, a little classic trigger stuff. Dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. What about sound, baby? Never mind. We got touch and we got vibes. Oh, shit, really? Oh, there's a little bit still together. Huh. Oh. We did see it when it was younger, didn't we? Can we eat them? Can we eat them? Fruit. Edible parts. They're in. She's in. She's in. They would eat the fishmen now. That's a JoJo's thing. They're pretty funny. Hmm. It's kind of sad. Unripe? Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple of dishes with big edible flowers that you can make, especially with buds like that. Oh, let the ecosystem survive. Unstated, but wow, that was really cool. All right. All right. We got a lot of faced things. You know what? They're baelets. They look like the baelet. That's what it is. Okay. Looks like squash. Looks like pumpkin. Oh, we're making a meal out of it? We're mashing them. Okay. Mashed squash? We're gonna fry them into, like, balls? Croquettes? Maybe stuff the... Ooh. Hmm. Hmm. I got a jack-o'-lantern potage and sauteed dryad buds. I love that the face is always facing the camera. Sweet. That's pumpkin or squash, right? Pumpkin soup. Shit, what am I thinking that looks like? It's just a maze. It's just a maze. But you can't just left-hand it because it's moving. The food changes everything. The food changes everything. Let's go, Senshi. It's pretty weird. Yeah, maybe your staff first. Spell sword? Spell sword? Paladin? Oh. Oh, we're about to learn calculus. This is scary. Yeah, we're just gonna get you those differentials real quick. No problem. It'll be easy peasy. Mm-hmm. What? Senshi. Does Senshi actually see, or does he still think Chiltrick is a child? Oh, please don't birds and the bees him. Please do not. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oi! It's crazy how like immediately intimate that was. But it is embarrassing. It's cool. I like that we've created like a circle with our hands together. And then we're syncing. It's a lot like eye gazing. Looks like it's fixed, yeah. Wait. Huh? Hmm. One step closer to something. We're about to do a thing with this? Yeah. Look, I hope that we equal opportunity and this becomes yaoi. Transition to Shuro, transition to Shuro, transition to Shuro. Let's go! Let's go! Kabu stuff. Oh, so sorry. I'm just traumatized. Oh. Yeah, Muchida. Jujutsu Kaisen. Void. More energy. Okay, it makes perfect sense to me. What? What? Bleh. 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 What? Infinity. It's where infinity exists. Oh. Oh. Which makes her under the purview of the mage, I think. I think that's what does it. Because she's made up of dungeon stuff and he's in control of dungeon stuff. Jump on a brick, fly on a brick, fly on a brick, come on! Otto! Oh. Oh, he doesn't have that much magic. Oops. Dude, just so casual about this. Oh, yeah, this is just Madness Ignis. Oh, those are the ghosts that are around, aren't they? Yeah, that seems like the worst. Oh, they're clicking. Oh. 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 Uh-oh. Ow. The homie. Oh, the not homie. Oh, the worst homie. Ooh, that's cool. Fuck. Goddamn pit vipers in their heat sense and vision bullshit. Ugh. There's real snake stuff. Great. Uh-huh. But I don't like it. I really hope that we get the same visual, but with her doing it. It's so big. Magic? Stupidly. Like a mix? Like a mix. Okay. Okay. Magic. Fuck. Shuro. Oh, never mind. That's a bite. That's a boom! That's an axe! Alright, no help from the outside. Is she poisoned? Or did it just get... Did it just get the arm? Or the clothes? Ah, shit. Oh, just gonna turn to stone so we can take her up out of here. No, we're just taking you out! Aw, fuck. Now you're more breakable. That's a really bad pose. Shit. Ah. Shit. That's so fucking funny. How long does that take? Maybe years, you know? Tansu and Team would be the only ones, probably, but probably not. Ooh. We use what we got. He's got to try it. We don't have anything else. 20 years. Great. Wait, this is food. What? Oh! Wait, why are we cooking with Marcel? Just a stabilizer, okay. Insane, Senshi. Oh, that's a Marseille. Holy shit, we did it. Oh, never mind. Don't fucking try multiple things while you're debugging. No. 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 We don't know what fixed it. That's so terrifying. Thank you. Oh, I see. He was fermenting the cabbage and using her as a weight. I see. This episode was insane. This was like a return to form, honestly. We've had a lot of episodes that have been building plot and theme and story and antagonists and stuff, and this was a return to form. There's like stuff going on, but we're just back to kind of chilling and cooking and dungeoning. Huh. When I look at it that way, this feels right. Would you like this ED a lot? I think EDs are easier than OPs. This just has good vibes. Fucking book. Okay. There are lots of little things to this episode that make it more than it appears on the surface, but in another way, it kind of just is what it appears on the surface. I said in the ED as we were kind of fading out that in a way, this episode is a little bit of a return to form. We've had a lot of episodes that have been building up tension and story and stakes and dragons and like real shit. And, this episode, we return to a stretch of the first few where we're kind of exploring new things and finding new food sources and dungeoneering and cooking and stuff, overcoming individual problems and obstacles. It's not that dissimilar in some ways to the first Basilisk episode or the couple episodes around it. It feels more like that. It's just that the circumstances are a little bit different. We're a little bit trapped in this changing city, and we've come off of this much higher tension, much higher stakes environment. So a lot of that still lingers on, still infuses this episode with those same stakes, right? We're still dealing with the aftermath of that. We've got the broken staff. We don't have the food. We're stuck in this place. There's dangers above with the dragons flying around. It's like not as good a situation. It's not as easy to get out of, but it still feels like a return to form, a return to adventuring and cooking and stuff. Then there are woven into it things that are strong reveals about our show and the nature of reality in the dungeon and stuff. Where she gains her magic, I think, is the most pivotal and most interesting of those. And there are lots of other things. There's the dryads themselves, which are a cool interpretation of a classic monster archetype. Dryads are always tree-like or plant-like, but beyond that, and almost always have a little bit of a seductive nature to them, a little bit sexual. I'm not sure where that comes into the like dryad lore and legends and stuff, but when I think dryad, I do always think feminine figures, often very sensual, made of or integrated with wood and trees and leaves and stuff. Fairy, right? Elven maybe, but fundamentally leafy and fundamentally like temptation-y. So, like a plant version of sirens or mermaids, you know? And we had the mermaid siren situation a little bit earlier. And while those are individual creatures who will then eat you, these are like carnivorous plant flowers, yeah? And there are so many interesting elements of the dryads that are just cool and novel and a great way to build a monster, right? They're humanoid, but they're not. They're just in the shape of humans because that's a good way to catch your prey, I think. And then they're attacking. They'll attack you. They're attached to these vines via their heads. They'll attack you physically, but also if you destroy them, there's this pollen that kind of debilitates you. And while pollen in our natural world is usually not a defense mechanism, like the fact that it causes allergies in other creatures isn't really something that the plants are trying to do most of the time. The idea that it might be that would be a utility, like a useful part of being a plant with a bunch of pollen is really fucking smart. It's really cool. It reminds me of the way that we treat fungi in fantasy. Often they puff spores out and those have an effect on us, a debilitating effect or hallucinogenic effect. But here it's the pollen from the dryad flowers. So the dryads debilitate you, they tempt you in with their physical form, and then they entrap you with their pollen. But it doesn't do something magical to entrap you, like making you fall in love or into a dreamy stupor or whatever. It just makes you sneeze your head off the way that real pollen does. It's such a fun mix of like realistic real world elements and fantastical interesting things, all with a cool twist on existing monsters and fairy stories and creatures and stuff. It's just another solid example of the kind of creativity that makes those elements of Dungeon Meshi so much fun. I think they really are. I think they really are. Bang, bang, chill chuck. There are so many. Maybe I'm just paying attention to this because I've been going through and like been watching a lot of cuts on Kabu. I've been trying to collect a bunch of cuts based on particular animators and find animators with really coherent particular styles. There are so many stylistically interesting cuts like this one, or like the fight with the dryads. Like he bangs here and then his eyes go multi-eyed the way that kind of things do in Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It's so interesting. And there are a bunch of cuts like this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what's-his-face. Names are escaping me right now, but Imaishi. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Imaishi drawing just this little cut. It doesn't have to be. There are a couple people at Trigger who do stuff like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is somebody with a serious name. It's really cool. He bangs forward and then lurches back as the ground under him gets unsettled. That's really freaking cool. We're just getting entrapped by the magician? All right. And then I love the way that he climbs up. Bam. Bam. It's just gorgeous. Walks like, I guess, so my read on this is that this is like walk like an Egyptian is the vibe that I have here. I'm not sure. It's just a fun joke. Is the city starting to bustle? Yes. And so are our stomachs. There are a couple of moments where we do these like really dark, almost kind of like what I did in the intro, but not as crisp, not directly on facial features. These dark outlines that make this a little funny. They're a little brush pen-y, a little silly. Yeah. Mazui. And Senshi clocks it completely. Food is the problem. But then that becomes a joke because he's wondering at their ages and how to take care of them. I think that this is really important because it reveals a little piece, another piece of how Senshi views himself in the party, regardless of the age things, and because of his inability to understand the ages of the other characters, he views himself as sort of the elder who must provide. Yeah? These youngsters must be fed, and I must feed them. No, it smells like flowers. Okay, let's go for it. I love the vibe of this space. I want to experience the momentary switch, and I want to hear the audio for it as well. Wow. Okay, so we take the boom boom of the music, fade that out, and fade in this like very subtle nature sound. It's very empty, very peaceful, and then the little tweeting bird up in the top. There isn't really like water underneath or anything like that. It's just little bird sounds, little opennesses. It's cool. Okay. These poles in the background are perfectly spaced. Did anybody else clock this? What's up with this? What's up with this shot? It doesn't match anything else in the episode, and we never dive into it further. The Dryads are all the way over there, right? Totally on the other side of things. They're not related to this. But those, like, everything is natural. Everything is stone or tree or wood. And then there are these not trees that it's like a giant iron gate or a bunch of bars or something. What the fuck? And I don't think we ever really see it again to understand what's going on there. Bunch of sexy dryads doing sexy dryad things, but if you look, and he covers his eyes. Why? Because he thinks he's a kid. We talk about that later. It's really silly. Don't look. We beg your pardon. We didn't mean to intrude. And then they move so crazy. The way they move is so weird. So off-putting, and their eyes are so blank and stuff because they're not actually featured creatures. They're buds. They're like flowers on the end of a stick. They're puppets, yeah? That's the vibe that they give, is mannequin-esque, puppet-esque. I like the rush of like almost voices as they move. Get back! And these cuts as they explode are really cool. I really like the way... Let me see. Here, the cut happens, and then the camera pulls up with the top half of the body as they separate. And then we get the breaths of goop. They're dryad flowers. And what is this goop? We get a full visual on the inside of how your mucous membranes work, and how Senshi's immune system works. And it's kind of built like enzymes with the proper antibody intruder pairing sort of situations, which is kind of cool and funny. Hay fever. Okay, this might be my favorite cut in the episode, which is very strange. Blurble, we get goop everywhere, and then boom! And then his whole face goes with it. Bleh! And then Senshi, in turn... just really full of character. It's really silly. And only Chilchuck remains conscious, but it starts to get to him, too. I love the way that we end up working together with Senshi, with Chilchuck being his eyes, and then his, feeling the wind eyes sort of situation. It's my duty to protect the youngsters. Smell? No. This? No. That? No. This is gorgeous. I know, I think that this is the same animator who did, like, some ghosts falling apart. There's a scene where Fallen first exorcises the ghost, and then later with ghosts, they move this way. And then there's a scene with the fishman underwater, I think, where there's a slice and then the waters ripple and create this sort of effect. And I think they're all the same animator. This is just gorgeous. Slice up now, boom, and wow. I love the the momentary smears right there, and yeah, and right there, and then right here, and then it foof. Slow-mo. Oh, that's so cool. This big swing, shing, swing through, smears, wow. Trigger's so fucking good at what they do. Ah! Trigger, the last bastion of... I know that wasn't exactly Kanata style, but the last bastion of Kanata style, and honestly, the last bastion of, like, the type of 2D animation that made me fall in love with animation. You get sprinkles of it in other studio shows, but Trigger is truly the last bastion of this kind of art. Her poor stick. I love that there's cool, weird, half magic, half real lore and biology for these flowers, yeah? That they are male and female, and that they produce fruits and fruiting bodies. They pollinate and produce foodstuffs, yeah? Just foodstuffs with horrid faces that are really creepy. And also kind of wonderful, and also very JoJo's. I don't know why it is that I get JoJo's from this. Yes, I do. Kenichi, right? Kenichi with his little guys with Harvest? These look like Harvest. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Why did I call him Kenichi? Oh, Shigechi. Harvesto! For some reason, that is exactly where my brain goes with this. Okay, cool. It's not what they look like at all. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. Fruit-like things and buds. Okay, I'm trying to... I need to find what the big edible flower is. Because I know there's an edible flower that sometimes people stuff it with stuff. And it's like a fairly large bud that looks a lot like these. Squash blossoms. And actually, that makes sense, because the dryads have been... The things have been, like, pumpkin framed, you know? They grow both male and female flowers, squash do. You can eat them raw, dipped in batter and fried, stuffed with cheese and baked, or served over pasta or inside a quesadilla. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, squash blossoms. Yeah. Yeah, and they've got... They have the outside shape and the little bundle of where they come together at the top, and they're filled with, like, soft, like, flower bud stuff that hasn't bloomed into its full floral place, and it's that stuff that's tender and, like, has flavor and nutritional value to it. But a lot of people take them and then will, like, cut open one side, stuff them with something, and then, like, bake them off or roast them or, like, air fry them really quick. That's super cool. I wonder if there's anywhere that I can get squash blossoms near me. I've never seen them for purchase. Maybe at, like, an Asian market? I don't actually have an Asian market, like, in my town. I have one in the city that's closer to the city over. That's too big of a guess, I guess. And I could get them online. Actually, wait, maybe Instacart pulls them up. So let me see. If I pull up Instacart in my area, does anybody have squash blossoms? I don't actually ever really, like, order from Instacart anymore. I relied on it when it was first coming out. Also because I didn't have transportation at that point. But I don't really use it anymore. The fees and scheme are so insane, but with all these delivery services, not worth it to me. I'd rather have a bike, or in my case, an electric unicycle, and just go to the store myself. Squash blossoms. Okay, so it looks like really high-end grocery stores, like maybe Arajuan and Gelson's, that try to be real fancy, which isn't one very near me. I'd have to go quite far away to get that. Would stock squash blossoms, and then certain restaurant supply stores seem to stock squash blossoms. That's cool. Probably not worth it for me unless I have a farmer's market nearby and can just get them really easily, but I'm going to try to keep it in mind because that seems like a food that I should probably eat. I haven't eaten a lot of flowers. It's a whole sector of plant foods that I probably want to try. Cool. I like this moment right here. It's really understated between Senshi and Laios, where Senshi just goes, don't pick too many. Yeah? Let's harvest them. They might be pretty tasty. Don't pick too many. And Laios just looks at him, and there's no discussion. There's no need for it. Also, that's just a beautiful, simple cut of pulling the thing, the tension. So freaking cool. Gosh, Senshi says. And Laios instantly stops reaching for the next one. We have a moment of silence, and then wakata. And Senshi is standing over the dead Dryad flower, right? A Dryad flower that would probably turn into a fruit, right? Or turn into a thing, which would probably turn into more Dryad flowers and keep the ecosystem going. But we don't have to say any of that. We've introduced us to that idea well enough. Senshi and Laios are aligned on it. They see eye to eye. We're at the point in community, in group, where we don't have to explain the reasons behind everything. Some things we do. But on some things, we just are aligned. We just agree. That's really cool. That's growth and development for our party. There are other places, I think maybe in the episode, where there is more need for explanation. Like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that because X, Y, Z. But it's different between Laios and Senshi. They see eye to eye in some ways. Some mandrakes, too. There are callbacks to the previous episode. It's a really decent harvest. It's awesome. So we create a squash paste to turn into a soup. We do sliced up mushroom-covered cheese and squash blossoms. That's a lot of umami to add to it. That makes a lot of sense. You get the light, floral flavor and kind of cabbagey texture of the thing, and then the cheese and the dryads. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Gosh, their faces are so weird. Don't think you could... Oh, it's yummy, though. Yeah, dude. Shit's yummy. And then, in the wake of having all this food, conversation shifts its tone. We have a meal to sit around, and we're all filling our stomachs, and it's like our hearts are lightened a little bit. We stop thinking about, damn, there's no way out, fuck, we're so screwed down here, to be like, there must be a way. I wonder what we could do next. It changes the tone of everything. It's no longer like, defeated. It's moving forward, moving toward whatever's next. You did it, Senshi. You did it. Okay. And then we get a little teaching of magic. It would help a lot. I love the face play that goes on here. It's very silly. All right, buddy. We're going to teach you some good stuff. We do need to become stronger. Pat, pat, pat. Teaching him the birds and the bees. He knows. He might have kids. Okay. I want to talk about this moment from a couple of perspectives. In world as is, this is such a beautiful depiction of the way that magic works. Out of world, in reality, this is really close to the way that certain elements that I've only been exposed to through a field or an umbrella called Tantra, which is meditation that involves connection. And I think Tantra is usually thought about as sexual and stuff. And there's a wealth of sexual stuff that's in Tantra. And I actually haven't paid much attention to that part. There are a couple of practices that involve creating circles between you and another person via your hands, and eye gazing and breathing together that are meant to synchronize, that are meant to create connection across the inherent boundaries of being separate beings. And I haven't had the experience of doing a lot of them, of actually practicing a lot of them, but they are reported to be very powerful. And those attempts that I have made with partners to do things like eye gazing, which is very simple. You just sit across from each other. You can do something like this where you hold each other's hands and create a circle, or put one hand on each other, similarly, whatever it works. And each of you looks at the right eye of the other person, and you just breathe. You just gaze into the other person's eye and you breathe. The idea is that you're creating a loop between each other, both in the visual line that you're creating, looking into their spirit in some way via their eye, and them looking through their other eye and into yours, and back and forth. The idea is that you can sort of pass energy back and forth and create a little vicarious circle of syncing your bodies together, syncing your breath together. And we know that when people look at each other in the eye, even over a camera, and this is something that's really crazy, even over a camera, their breaths and heart rates synchronize gradually over time, but it's probably happening right now as I'm looking into my camera if you're looking at my eyes. While you may or may not actually be able to hear me breathing, something really interesting happens. Humans are built to connect to each other, and this is one of the ways that we can kind of connect and synchronize. Partners, when they're in the same room, synchronize their breathing and their like lots of strange and interesting things about their body. So to do that and have that be extended out, the power or energy of that, which is very much internal and very much felt by the person doing it. It's not like externalizable. You can't do tantric breathing for a while and then point your finger and shoot lightning, right? It doesn't create magic, but it creates magic in a way. It changes people. It changes the way that you feel about the person that you're breathing with. It's like, that does something. That can be magic. To extend that out and fold something like it into your magic system and say that people who have an attunement toward magic can feel that passing through them, can exchange it and feel the flow of it back and forth and get used to it, figure out what it feels like by being connected to somebody else. Let it flow through the palms of your hands, from the top of your head to the tips of my toes, as though we're one entity through this connection, yeah? And that is exactly what you're pursuing if you're doing that kind of a meditative practice. You're pursuing the very human, very real world in your mind, part of your state of being kind of magic, and to be extremely explicitly clear, while I do not discount the potential for that to be like energetic fields and stuff, man, I also don't have evidence for it. So we can stay entirely within the realm of the measurable and scientifically validatable, right? Which is that people feel more connected to each other when they do this, and literally are more connected because their blood flow, as is said here, synchronizes. Their heart rates synchronize, their breathing rates synchronize, their emotional states to some extent synchronize or level in with each other. And from that, like, the ability to see each other, to hear each other, to communicate and stuff is way improved. Way improved. There are probably a whole bunch of other effects, all of which can be linked directly back to those physiological base level things, right? It's not magic or auras, although you could frame it as such and still probably come to the same conclusions and not be wrong, like not be wrong, but maybe be less truthy in your correctness, if that makes sense. This is really cool to me. Sync your breathing, temperature, and pulse, and everything fades out into darkness, and then repeat the magic words. Say the words. And they fade together, and we use the visual language to tell us that they're kind of becoming one and synchronized here. And then we burst out of it because it's itchy. She pushes him off. And it's that it worked, yeah? The way that this sort of falls apart is almost as though it's too close. It's almost too... feels too good, feels like too much, maybe. In any case, very cool. That's something to mention about those kinds of breathing practices is they can become very uncomfortable. There is a lot of physical energy there, and especially if you're holding on to internalized, especially physicalized trauma, like I think what certain practitioners would call like blocked chakras or something like it, which may be physical trauma that you're holding in your musculature or in your fascia systems or lymphatic drainage that isn't working or whatever. Like I don't I don't actually know. But if you're holding on to tension and you're not comfortable being fully, you're not going to be able to connect like that fully. And it's going to hurt or feel dangerous or feel scary or feel overwhelming. There are lots of breathing practices that you can do that will absolutely overwhelm certain people. A lot of people who have ADHD struggle with particular kinds of like breathwork focused meditation because it's like the opposite of the way that their brain works, and it's not the way they want their brain to work. And the brain goes like, nope, I don't want to do this. It starts racing and freaking out and getting more anxious and having panic attacks and stuff. So just to say, if you want to experiment with any of this stuff, go slow, be careful. And if you do have a response that's like, nope, this is too much for me, follow it, chill. It's cool. Anyway, I don't necessarily mean this to be like a lesson in Tantra because I don't fucking know anything about it, honestly. But it seems cool to me. It's pretty neat. It worked. You did it. I really like this moment. It's almost like a breach of shot, reverse shot, the way that, like we break the 180-degree rule in the matter of a second, but it doesn't really matter. We're just cutting from one side over to her side where the ear is. But there's something about it that's like Marcel gets up really close and in proximity with him, and it feels like we've gained an intimacy between Laios and Marcel, not necessarily a romantic one, but like just gained a connection and intimacy between them, which I think we have. You're a fast learner. Yeah, but you're also a good teacher. Let me set it up for healing Senshi, and he does not want it. It feels too strange. Don't let it bother you. It's fine. But yeah, don't underestimate things like that, says Chilchuck. I think that's really important. Senshi doesn't want to be touched like that. He feels a little weird. It's part of what it means to be a healer, is to have that kind of a manner to like disarm people, to make them feel comfortable in your presence and comfortable with your touch. If you've ever interacted with massage therapists, it's like a core piece of what they do. They're similarly, like, those are the people we talked, I mentioned like blocked chakras as like maybe muscle knots or tension there. Massage therapists literally are the people who go in and fix those, who work through them. And they have to be very careful about the way that they treat patients and clients, and about their internal, like the kind of energy that they give off, because it's very easy to make somebody feel uncomfortable. And even if they're comfortable, it's very easy when you're going in and investigating their traumas, their scar tissue, their literal physicalized tension. They can break down or get in touch with stuff that they do not want to be in touch with, or makes them really uncomfortable. Chilchuck extends this out to being about parties, about teams, and what that means. And he goes, don't underestimate that stuff. Everybody's like, hey, don't be embarrassed. Don't let it bother you. Just chill. It's fine. And Chilchuck goes, whoa, maybe it's not fine. Don't underestimate things like that. Don't make light of somebody's discomfort in connection. Those connections are fundamental to parties. Healers can be touchy-feely, and that causes problems. It can cause people to fall in love, probably. I'm wondering if that's what's happened with Shuro, yeah? The main reason parties break up isn't getting killed by monsters, it's relationship issues. It's that they don't get along as people. So having a healer who's touchy-feely and touches other people, and they catch feelings because of it, even though that's not what's intended, makes perfect sense. There's a thing called erotic transference that happens to psychologists all the time, therapists. This is why people feel like they're falling in love with their therapist. But it also, I think, happens to anybody that you have like an intimate personal connection with in a separated space. You can have it with massage therapists, although I feel like that one's probably more sexual. I think it still fits under the umbrella of erotic transference. When non-erotic behaviors, right, like physical touch in a non-sexual way, deep intimacy and connection in a non-sexual, non-romantic way with a therapist, those things, if they're in your mind associated with things that you only do when you're in relationship, when you're in love, when you're connected that way, then you do those things with a therapist and you connect with them that way. And so you fall in love with your therapist. I think it makes perfect sense that lots of people, like the most fallen in love with character in any adventuring party is probably the healer. because the healer comes up and touches you and is kind to you and takes care of you and cares about your problems and is paying attention to you and is being a partner to you and to everybody else in the party and isn't your partner. But it might feel that way. That might be the only source of that kind of connection that you get, right? So if you've got a list of things that are like, these are the things that lead to relationships, that lead to love, that lead to romance, and a bunch of those are getting fulfilled by somebody in your life who is otherwise not a romantic interest, they might end up being a romantic interest despite your conscious efforts. You know, your conscious thought about it is like, they're just my healer. Yeah, but they do put their hands on me and make me feel good all the time and ask me how I'm doing and care about me and smile at me. And those are all sorts of things that like a girlfriend would do. Maybe that should be my girlfriend. I wonder, Shuro, I wonder. Falling in and out of love, envy, jealousy, grudges, and hatred. They can be a real hassle. You talking about falling in, Shuro? You like, we frame him in the thing. I'm just speaking from my own experiences. I'm not talking about anybody particularly. I'm talking about in general. But I wonder if he's talking about falling in Shuro. A leader, and especially coming off of the Kabu episode, this feels really poignant. A leader needs the ability to unite people more than combat skills. Now, we did get some moments during the dragon fight where I had feelings that I was like, this is a pretty leadery thing of Laios to do. That's pretty leadery. That's pretty good. And then from Chilchuck, I think this line's really interesting because it's a little bit manipulative. Chilchuck has a desired goal and outcome that he thinks Laios should pursue, but he hasn't actually said that to Laios, and therein lies the manipulativeness of it, right? Because he hasn't just been direct about it. To be honest, I want XYZ. I want him to focus on developing social skills and reading people more than learning magic. But what does Laios want? I guess he's now saying it directly to him here, which is fine. If he had done so, he wouldn't have unknowingly become an accomplice in black magic. Yeah, maybe. But Chilchuck's ignorance and prejudice against black magic is coming through here, yeah? Maybe your ignorance is making you afraid. There's some layers to it. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I just have all this trauma from all my family getting kidnapped by evil elves with dark magic rituals just because they had some black magic art. Excuse me? They were involved with what? That's pretty interesting. Seems like they might have gotten precisely what they deserved, but of course, from your perspective, they were just doing halfling things. So forgive me. So facetious. So over. But this leads to Marcille telling us exactly how her magic works. And it's Jujutsu Kaisen. A little bit. I think it's very cool, though. One of the core problems with magic is that it often produces energy from places that energy is not. And you could be like, well, maybe it's capturing the inherent energy of the space between things. Or maybe it releases the energy that's locked inside the atoms and molecules of our world. Like it's causing microfission and fusion when you do magic stuff. Okay, then why doesn't it nuclear explode? I don't fucking know. Whatever. This is one great, simple way to do magic. There's another dimension. In that dimension, there's infinity. Also kind of works with mathy stuff, the way we think of math. It's kind of cool. We draw energy from that infinity. We need to, like, get water pressure, right? And the best place to tap for water pressure would be the bottom of an endless ocean. So I tap the bottom of the endless ocean that's in the infinite void space, and I pull energy from there and utilize it to create magical stuff. How do you weaponize water? You boil it. So how about an entire lake? More energy, more boiling. And then we have this frame. This magic would require an enormous amount of power and time. Yeah, like hundreds of years in a dungeon. So you reinforce it with coordinate magic. Connected to the other dimension at multiple points, which she's been exploring and looking at, and kind of probably trying to figure out the map, the like, what kind of a sigil is drawn by them? What are these links? And through this power, monsters are summoned and the dungeon is formed. So, Fallen not having the strength to revive herself, I rewrote a section of the dungeon and made her body a part of it. Only for a brief moment, but I imagine that this is what... Like, if the magic is about controlling energy from the other side and controlling the dungeon, making Fallen partly the magic of the other side and partly of the dungeon and partly of the flesh of the dragon makes her controllable, moldable, shiftable. So probably we opened the door to this being done to her, which sucks. The visual of the CG bricks flying off of the wall and flying away is so freaking cool. What a magical thing. Totally nonchalant about mana sickness. Okay, bye. Just a complete trip and ghosts and can't move. That's bad. That's awful. And then the Cockatrice. Oh, dark feathers. Scary as fuck. Terrifying venom. I really like this CG running through the hallways scene. It's just cool. Goddamn heat sensing. And then we set up a fight. Following in the footsteps of the Laios that was before. She is not terrifying, unfortunately. But she does give it her best dang shot. And it does not work. Not really. This is right ready to go as bad as it could possibly go, right? Senshi's axe doesn't find the mark. It's still fully up. This is bad. But with the flash of a fireball and the swing of an axe, we are able to down the beast, but turn to stone, which leads us into our silly stone of petrification, our silly cooking, our delicious meal at the end, and Marcial is back. First, I should say thank you. First, I should say please don't use a person as a fermentation weight. It's not nice. This was fun. This was... Okay, I'm going to recharacterize my first take. My first take was that this is a return to form. My new take is that this is a partial return to form while incorporating all of the tension and all of the depth delving and all of the intrigue and all of the depth, really, of the show. Because we can't go back exactly to the pure lightheartedness of the first couple levels. We're not doing the original Basilisk episode, and having them directly contrasted helps, I think. Things are more serious. Things are more dangerous here. And yet there are still the same lights. They're just a little harder to find sometimes. We're under a lot more pressure. There's a lot more tension between characters and between our whole party. I wonder where we'll go from here, and whether we will end up colliding with the other adventurers. Who knows? Who knows? I'm going to go check Sakagabura really quick. I'd like to see if I can put some names to some of those faces and expressions and movements and stuff. Well, let's see. Yeah, there are a few. I guess I'll go backwards. Oh, the goops. They be goopin'. Probably Yuko Kobayashi. I don't know. Whoosh. Oh, I really liked the way that centers the hands around that. This is Jiame Dang. Cool. Those little like motions and gestures are really, really solid here. Not tagged as AD Ichigo Kano. Oh, this is that. This is that moment. That tracks. That tracks. It could have been Kano animating it. It could have been somebody else animating it. But that tracks. Boom! And then the swing, and then the down. Smash, smash. Some faces, and then he's smashing it in the background. I didn't even notice that he was smashing it in the background. That's cool. Okay, this one's Ichigo Kano. This is the actual vision of the Dryads, and then when they run forward as well, yeah. And all the cuts of them exploding and dying. Oh, yeah, okay, that tracks. Yeah, that tracks completely. Yeah, completely. Okay. And you know what? With that moment, I'm certain that the first chill chuck cut that I talked about is Kano as well. Yeah, oh right. All of this was Kano. Okay. Cyberpunk stuff. Yeah, similar vibes all the way through. Okay. Cool. We nailed it. Moving backward, this is Kano and Mono, Yoshitake Mono. Oh, for the sneezing stuff is Kano as well. That makes perfect sense. Okay, and then chopping them all up. Cool. Kai Ikarashi. Ah! Which matches because we had Ikarashi for the first Laios cut doing the same thing, I believe. This is a really cool pull out. And then hold, and then the big explosion in the background. Boom. Neat. Okay. That covers it, I believe. Cool episode of Dungeon Meshi. Simultaneously moves us forward a little bit without actually moving us. Laios learning magic feels like a really cool and important element. It takes him one step closer to being the kind of person that I would want to win the dungeon, if you know what I mean. We'll see. Overall, I think a really solid episode with lots of interesting pieces, interesting characterization for everybody, and I'm not sure what the next step after this is. I still don't see a way out of here, and I still wonder if we're going to collide with other characters and parties and groups and stuff. We'll have to see next time on Dungeon Meshi. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Dungeon Meshi with me. I hope to catch you next week for more, or catch you early on the Patreon. See you next week for more. Much love. Peace.